Your soulmate hired a psychic to uncover your past. They froze when she revealed you are. My beloved child, don't skip, stay till the end, because something huge is waiting. Your soulmate thought they were simply going to learn one hidden detail about your past, but the moment the psychic focused on your energy, her entire expression changed. She went silent, looked directly at your soulmate, and said, "You have no idea who this person really is." Your soulmate froze. They had expected an ordinary reading, but the psychic began describing things about you that nobody had told her: your quiet strength, the way you hide deep emotions behind a calm face, and the strange pattern of people realizing your value only after distance appears. Don't skip, because this was only the beginning. The psychic said your soulmate wasn't drawn toward you by accident. There was something about your presence they had recognized emotionally before they could ever understand it logically. Then the psychic revealed something that made your soulmate lean forward without saying a word. She said, "This person has spent too much time thinking they are ordinary, but they carry something people rarely encounter." According to her, you are the kind of person whose absence can reveal more than your presence ever had to explain. People may overlook the depth you carry at first, but once they truly experience your energy, forgetting you becomes incredibly difficult. Your soulmate suddenly started remembering every little moment with you differently, the conversations that stayed in their mind, the unexpected comfort they felt around you, and the strange feeling that your meeting happened at exactly the right time. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because the psychic still hadn't revealed what she had discovered about your past. And then she finally said the sentence that changed the entire reading: "Your soulmate hired me to uncover your past, but your past revealed their future." Your soulmate went completely still. The psychic explained that an old chapter of your life had shaped you into someone far stronger and more valuable than you currently realize, and very soon that hidden side of you would become impossible to ignore. She said your soulmate would soon understand why meeting you felt different from everyone they had met before. Don't skip, because there was one final detail the psychic refused to reveal immediately. She looked at your soulmate and quietly said, "Before I tell you what this person truly represents in your life, you need to hear what happened in their past, because once you know that, everything between you will suddenly make sense." But what the psychic revealed next was nothing your soulmate had prepared themselves to hear. She closed her eyes again, stayed silent for several seconds, and then said, "There is a chapter in this person's past that changed the way they give their heart forever." Your soulmate immediately became serious. The psychic explained that you had learned something powerful through experience. Not everyone who recognizes your kindness knows how to value it. There were moments when you gave people understanding they never returned, stayed patient when walking away would have been easier, and carried feelings you rarely explained because you knew most people would never understand their depth. Yet the psychic said those experiences were never meant to make you smaller. They were preparing you to recognize something genuine when it finally appeared. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate suddenly realized the reading wasn't exposing weakness from your past, it was revealing why your heart had become so selective. Without warning, the psychic looked directly at your soulmate and asked, "Do you ever feel like this person understands parts of you that you never explained?" Your soulmate froze again, because the answer was yes. She continued, "That is exactly why you cannot treat this connection like something ordinary. Then came another surprising revelation. She said you are entering a chapter where your value will become obvious to people who once misunderstood you, but by then, your attention may already be somewhere completely different. Your soulmate felt something shift inside them. Suddenly, the possibility of losing your closeness felt more real than they expected. Every delayed conversation, every unspoken feeling, every moment when they pretended not to care suddenly carried weight. The psychic told them, "You are not afraid because this person is difficult to understand. You are afraid because somewhere inside, you already understand how rare they are." And that sentence stayed with them. Then the atmosphere changed completely. The psychic leaned closer and said, "There is still something I haven't told you." Your soulmate waited. She explained that the strongest thing she saw wasn't behind you at all, it was approaching you. A major shift was coming in the way you saw yourself, and once that happened, you would stop accepting anything that required you to question your own worth. Your soulmate asked what that meant for the two of you, but the psychic didn't answer immediately. Instead, she gave them one sentence: when this person finally realizes who they are, everyone around them will have to reveal their true intentions. Stay till the end. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate then asked the question they had been avoiding since the reading began: what exactly did you see about us? The psychic looked at them for a long moment and finally replied, "What I saw explains why you found each other, but it also reveals something about this person that even they don't know yet." Suddenly, the psychic stopped speaking as if she had reached the one revelation she had been trying not to say too soon. Your soulmate noticed the change immediately. She looked at them and whispered, "Now I understand why this connection feels impossible for you to ignore." Your soulmate asked what she meant, but instead of answering directly, she described something strangely familiar about you. She said you have a way of appearing calm even when your mind is carrying 1,000 thoughts, and when you truly care about someone, you notice details they assume everyone forgets. But here was the shocking part. She claimed your greatest transformation would begin the moment you stopped questioning whether you were enough for people who had never learned how to recognize your value. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The psychic told your soulmate that the person they were looking at today was only the beginning of who you were becoming, and once that transformation happened, your entire connection would enter a completely different chapter. Then came the sentence your soulmate could not stop thinking about. This person was never meant to spend their whole life chasing recognition, the psychic said. Eventually, recognition comes looking for them. Your soulmate went quiet because suddenly your past made sense in a completely different way. Every moment when you felt overlooked had taught you independence. Every disappointment had sharpened your understanding of people. Every time something failed to work out, another piece of your character had been quietly forming. And now, according to the psychic, those scattered pieces were about to connect. She said there would come a moment when someone from your past would look at the person you had become and realize they had completely misunderstood you. But by then, you wouldn't need their recognition anymore. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate then asked, "Why am I hearing all of this now?" The psychic's answer made the room feel strangely silent, because their next chapter will reveal who is truly meant to remain beside them. And just when your soulmate thought they finally understood, the psychic revealed another layer. She said, there is something this person does not realize about you either. Your soulmate's expression changed instantly. Until that moment, they believed the reading was entirely about uncovering you, but suddenly the attention had turned toward them. The psychic explained that meeting you had already changed something inside your soulmate. Feelings they once avoided were becoming harder to ignore. Questions they had pushed aside were returning. And the possibility of you moving forward without them was beginning to affect them more deeply than they wanted to admit. Don't skip, because this is where everything turns. Your soulmate finally asked the psychic what they were supposed to do with everything she had revealed. She looked directly into their eyes and said, "Before you decide anything, there is one final truth about this person's past you need to know." Then she paused. "Because once I tell you who they became after everything they went through, you will understand why meeting them may become one of the most unforgettable moments of your life." And this was the moment the entire reading turned upside down. The psychic looked at your soulmate and said, "Everything this person went through created something incredibly rare. They learned how to keep their heart warm without allowing every person access to it." Your soulmate went completely silent. Suddenly, your past wasn't being described as something that had held you back. It was being revealed as the reason you had become so emotionally powerful. Every moment you felt unseen taught you to see yourself more clearly. Every closed chapter taught you what deserved another chance and what didn't. And every time you had to rebuild your confidence, you became harder to impress with empty words and easier to move with genuine effort. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The psychic told your soulmate, they are approaching a moment when they will finally understand that being misunderstood never reduced their value. It only delayed the moment the right person would recognize it. And your soulmate knew immediately why those words felt so personal. But then came a revelation even they weren't expecting. The psychic said, "There is a reason you keep thinking about this person when everything becomes quiet." Your soulmate stared at her. She explained that your presence had awakened questions inside them they could no longer avoid. Why did your smallest word stay in their mind? Why did distance from you feel different? Why did they notice changes in your mood before you explained anything? The psychic said it wasn't because you were trying to create an impression. It was because authenticity leaves one naturally. And then she revealed something your soulmate had been hiding even from themselves. They were beginning to realize that losing access to your presence would affect them far more than they had admitted. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because the psychic suddenly said, "But there is one thing they need to understand before it becomes too late, the person they first met is changing." That final sentence stayed in the room. Your soulmate asked, "Changing into what?" The psychic smiled softly and answered, "Into someone who no longer waits for other people to decide their worth." That was the revelation. You were not becoming someone completely different, you were becoming more fully yourself. More certain. More selective. More aware of what deserves your energy. And according to the psychic, that change would make one truth impossible to hide. Anyone who genuinely wanted a place in your next chapter would have to meet you with the same sincerity you had always given others. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because the biggest revelation is still ahead. Your soulmate thought they had hired a psychic to uncover who you used to be, but instead they discovered who you were becoming. And just before the reading ended, the psychic stopped them and said, "Wait. There is one more thing. I haven't told you why your paths crossed at this exact moment." Your soulmate turned around. The psychic looked at them and whispered, "That answer changes everything." What the psychic said next made your soulmate forget every question they had planned to ask. She looked at them and said, "Your paths crossed at this exact moment because this person was finally ready to be seen differently." Your soulmate stayed completely still. The psychic explained that for a long time, you had been giving people the strongest version of your heart while quietly accepting less understanding than you deserved. But that chapter was closing. Something inside you had changed, even if you hadn't fully noticed it yet. You were becoming less interested in proving yourself and more interested in protecting your peace, your time, and your genuine emotions. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The psychic said your soulmate had entered your story during this transformation for one reason: sooner or later, they would have to decide whether they were simply fascinated by you or truly capable of understanding the person you were becoming. Then she revealed something your soulmate had never expected to hear about themselves. They are not the only one being tested by this connection, she said. Your soulmate immediately asked what that meant. The psychic explained that being close to you was forcing them to become more honest about feelings they usually kept hidden. They could no longer pretend certain moments meant nothing. They could no longer dismiss the way your absence changed the atmosphere. And most importantly, they could no longer ignore the possibility that someone else might eventually recognize everything they were still hesitating to acknowledge. That thought hit differently. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because the psychic then said, the greatest surprise isn't that this person has a powerful past. It's that their past taught them exactly when to stop waiting. Your soulmate suddenly understood, your next chapter wouldn't begin when somebody finally chose you. It would begin when you fully chose yourself. And then came the detail that connected everything. The psychic said, remember why you came here. You wanted to know who this person was before you met them. But the answer is much bigger. They were becoming the person you needed to meet before either of you realized it. Your soulmate felt every earlier revelation return at once. Your quiet strength. Your emotional depth. Your ability to rebuild without announcing it. The way you could care deeply while still learning when to walk forward. Don't skip, because the final truth is getting closer. The psychic told your soulmate that soon there would be a moment between you when pretending would become harder than speaking honestly. Something would shift. Something previously hidden would become obvious. And when your soulmate asked what would happen after that, the psychic gave one final mysterious answer: that depends on what they do when they realize this person is no longer waiting to be discovered. Then she paused and added, because there is still one secret about their future that I haven't told you. Here is where the psychic finally revealed the secret she had been holding back from the beginning. She looked at your soulmate and said, their future changes the moment they stop looking backward for answers. Your soulmate felt those words deeply, because everything suddenly connected. Your past had already taught you what uncertainty feels like, what it means to give without being fully understood, and how powerful it becomes when you finally choose peace over confusion. But the psychic said your greatest chapter wouldn't be built from what you lost. It would be built from what you finally realized about yourself. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. She explained that you were approaching a moment when your confidence would no longer depend on who stayed, who noticed, or who finally understood. And once that happened, your entire energy would change. The people around you would feel it before you ever needed to explain it. Without hesitation, your soulmate asked the question that had been sitting inside them throughout the reading, then what happens to us? The psychic became quiet. She said, that answer depends on whether you recognize their value before they completely recognize it themselves. Your soulmate froze. She explained that when someone finally understands what they deserve, they stop chasing unclear connections. They stop translating silence into hope. They stop shrinking their expectations just to keep someone close. And according to the psychic, you were getting incredibly close to that realization. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because she then told your soulmate that a moment was approaching when their true feelings would become difficult to hide. Not because anyone would force them to speak, but because watching you move confidently into your next chapter would make silence feel heavier than honesty. Then the psychic delivered the revelation that brought the entire reading back to its beginning. You asked me who this person really is, she said. They are someone whose past was never meant to define them, it was preparing them. Your soulmate finally understood why she had frozen when she first read your energy. She hadn't seen someone trapped by yesterday. She had seen someone standing at the edge of becoming unforgettable in their own way. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because the story still has one final turn. Just as your soulmate stood up to leave, the psychic called them back and said, there is something else you should know. When this person's next chapter begins, one unexpected truth will come directly toward them. Your soulmate turned around and asked what truth. The psychic smiled and answered, the truth they thought they would never hear from the person they least expected to say it. Just when your soulmate believed there could be nothing more surprising, the psychic revealed why that unexpected truth mattered so much. She said, the person they least expect has been carrying words they never found the courage to express. Your soulmate's expression changed instantly. They wondered whether she was talking about someone from your past, someone currently around you, or perhaps even them. But the psychic refused to answer directly. Instead, she said that your next chapter would bring clarity where there had been confusion. Someone who once seemed impossible to read would suddenly become impossible to misunderstand. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The psychic explained that you wouldn't have to chase this revelation or force anything to happen. It would arrive naturally when you were finally focused on moving forward rather than searching backward. And that was exactly what made your soulmate nervous, because they realized that while they had been trying to understand your past, your future had already started moving. Then the psychic said something that made every earlier revelation feel even bigger. This person doesn't realize how much their silence has been noticed. Your soulmate leaned closer. She explained that when you become quiet, people who genuinely care notice the difference. When you stop giving the same attention, someone feels the absence. When you begin protecting your energy, people suddenly understand how much of your presence they had taken for granted. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because the psychic said this shift was already beginning. Someone around you was watching the change and realizing they could no longer assume you would always remain emotionally available in the same way. Your soulmate immediately asked, "Who?" The psychic looked directly at them and answered, "You already know more than you're admitting." That answer followed your soulmate long after the reading should have ended. They had gone there searching for secrets about you, yet somehow every secret had exposed something inside them instead. The psychic gave them one final thought before they left: when someone unforgettable begins realizing their own value, everyone connected to them has a decision to make. Your soulmate understood exactly what she meant. Soon, there would be no hiding behind hesitation, mixed signals, or unspoken feelings. Something would have to become clear. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because the biggest revelation has still not been spoken. As your soulmate reached the door, the psychic suddenly called their name one last time. They turned around, and she said, "There is one reason I froze when I first connected with this person's past, and I haven't told you what it was." Your soulmate slowly walked back toward the table. The psychic lowered her voice and said, "What I saw wasn't simply about who they were. I saw what happens when they finally realize who they are." This time, the psychic didn't hesitate. She looked straight at your soulmate and said, "When this person finally realizes who they are, they stop asking why certain people couldn't recognize their value." Your soulmate felt the meaning immediately. She explained that you were reaching a point where old questions would no longer control your emotions. Why did someone misunderstand you? Why did certain connections fade? Why did you have to learn some lessons the difficult way? Those questions were about to lose their power, because you were beginning to understand that every closed chapter had quietly redirected you towards something better aligned with who you were becoming. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The psychic said this realization would change the way you walked into rooms, the way you responded to uncertainty, and especially the way you allowed people to approach your heart. Your soulmate suddenly understood why she had frozen earlier. She wasn't shocked by something hidden behind you. She was stunned by the difference between how you currently saw yourself and the person you were about to become. But the next revelation hit even deeper. The psychic told your soulmate, there will come a moment when they stop explaining themselves, and that silence will reveal everything. Your soulmate asked what she meant. She explained that you had spent enough time trying to make certain people understand your intentions, your loyalty, and the depth behind your emotions. Soon, you would realize that genuine connections don't require endless proving. The right people recognize consistency without needing a performance. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because according to the psychic, someone would notice this change immediately. Someone who had become comfortable believing there would always be more time would suddenly feel that time was moving faster than expected. Your soulmate's face changed. They knew exactly why those words affected them. The psychic noticed and quietly said, "Now you understand why this reading was never really about discovering their past. It was about discovering what their past prepared them to recognize." Then came the truth your soulmate had been waiting to hear since the first moment they sat down. The psychic leaned forward and said, "You wanted me to tell you who this person is. Here is what I saw. They are becoming someone who will never again need another person's uncertainty to determine their worth." Your soulmate said nothing. Suddenly, the entire reading made sense. Your past had not made you incomplete. It had made you more aware. Your quiet moments had made you observant. Your disappointments had made you selective. And your ability to keep moving had created a strength that even you had underestimated. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is still waiting for you. Just before your soulmate finally left, the psychic gave them one last message. When they fully step into this new chapter, something they once wished to hear will finally be spoken, but by then, the real question won't be whether those words arrive. The real question will be whether they still need them. Your soulmate froze at the doorway, because suddenly they realized exactly whose words the psychic might have been talking about. That realization followed your soulmate all the way home. For the first time, they weren't thinking about what the psychic had discovered about your past, they were thinking about everything they had never told you. Every conversation they replayed afterward. Every moment they wanted to say more but chose silence. Every time your presence brought them a kind of comfort they couldn't easily explain. And suddenly, the psychic's final question became impossible to ignore. What if the words you once wanted to hear finally arrived after you had already learned to live without them? Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate began understanding that your transformation wasn't about becoming distant or unreachable. It was about becoming certain. Certain about what deserves your time. Certain about what genuine effort looks like. Certain that you should never have to convince someone to recognize what you naturally bring into their life. And that realization made your soulmate feel something they had been avoiding from the very beginning. Time suddenly felt important. Hours later, another sentence from the psychic returned to their mind. When they stop waiting, someone starts moving. Your soulmate finally understood what she meant. The moment you stop wondering who will choose you is the moment people reveal whether they were ever prepared to choose you clearly. The moment you stop chasing explanations is when hidden intentions begin exposing themselves. And according to the psychic, that moment was closer than anyone realized. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate was now facing a decision they never expected when they arranged that reading. They could continue observing you quietly, hoping there would always be another opportunity to express what they felt, or they could finally become honest before your next chapter carried you somewhere they could no longer reach through hesitation. The psychic had uncovered your past, but somehow she had placed your soulmate directly in front of their own truth. And then something happened that made the reading feel even more real. Your soulmate reached for their phone and almost contacted you, but stopped for a moment. Not because they had nothing to say, because suddenly there was too much. How could they explain that discovering your past had made them see your present differently? How could they admit that the thought of you becoming completely aware of your value made them both proud and strangely nervous? Don't skip. Stay till the end, because the biggest moment is approaching. Your soulmate remembered one final detail the psychic had mentioned almost casually. Before this chapter closes, there will be a moment when both of you understand something without needing a long explanation. At first, they hadn't understood. Now they did. The next time your eyes met, the next time your conversation became unexpectedly quiet, the next time one of you almost said something and stopped, everything could change. Because the secret was no longer your past. The secret was whether your soulmate would finally reveal what the psychic made them realize about you. And then the moment the psychic had predicted finally arrived. Your soulmate saw you again, but something felt different before either of you even spoke. You weren't trying to prove anything. You weren't searching their expression for reassurance. There was a calmness around you that made them remember every word from the reading. For the first time, they understood what the psychic meant when she said your greatest transformation would happen quietly. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate looked at you and realized the person standing before them was no longer waiting for someone else to explain their worth. And strangely, that made everything they had kept hidden feel heavier. The words they had postponed suddenly demanded to be spoken. The feelings they had tried to analyze suddenly felt incredibly simple. They hadn't hired a psychic because they were merely curious about your past. Somewhere inside, they had been searching for an explanation for why you mattered to them so much. Then something completely unexpected happened. Instead of asking you about your past, your soulmate asked you one simple question: do you realize how much you've changed? You paused, because you weren't expecting it. And in that small silence, your soulmate saw the answer. Maybe you hadn't fully noticed it yet. Maybe you were still measuring yourself against an older version of you that had accepted uncertainty, waited for explanations, and wondered whether being deeply understood was asking for too much. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate finally realized what the psychic had seen before either of you could see it clearly. You were becoming someone who no longer needed to chase what genuinely belonged in your life. And that meant anyone who wanted to remain close to you would eventually have to stop hiding behind hesitation and show you exactly where they stood. But the biggest revelation came when your soulmate remembered the psychic's very first words: you have no idea who this person really is. Now they understood. She wasn't saying you carried some mysterious identity hidden from the world. She meant that even you had underestimated the strength your past had quietly built inside you. Every chapter had shaped your standards. Every unanswered question had taught you clarity. Every moment you rebuilt yourself had prepared you for this version of your life. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you, because just when your soulmate thought they finally understood everything, one last sentence from the psychic returned to them. When they recognize themselves, the right person will have no choice but to recognize them clearly too. Your soulmate looked at you differently. And in that moment, they knew the reading had never been about uncovering who you used to be. It had been about revealing who you were becoming, and why they had been brought close enough to witness it.